You're listening to the Craft Messages That Matter podcast. My name is Theo Capodistrius, and I'm going to talk to you about all things communication, public speaking, TEDx, and all the things in between. These are going to be short episodes, and hopefully you'll gain a lot out of it. Sit back and enjoy today's episode. Hello and welcome. I hope you are excited for another episode of the Craft Messages That Matter podcast. My name is Theo Capodistrius, and I help professionals and business owners to demonstrate their value through their voice and through their own words. I do this through a range of speaking opportunities such as presentations and workshops and coaching programs as well, where I help people with their communication and public speaking. I also wanted to put out a range of free content to help those who may be checking out what I'm doing, including a range of free resources on my website, content on my social media, and of course, this podcast. Let's get started. When I talk about communication, I don't just mean when we speak. Public speaking is an important topic for me, and it will feature heavily in future episodes. But I want us to think about our written communication. Today's episode, we're going to talk about a little trick which can assist you in structuring emails, reports, and other documents as well. We have a wide array of communication actions in our workday, or any day really. From the water cooler talk, to phone calls with angry people and customers, to assisting a colleague with a question, to providing internal advice. The thing to manage these different types of communication is to utilize an effective structure. Matt Abrahams from Stanford explains that communication structures serve as scaffolding for our messages. They allow us easy starting points, transitions, and clear endings. How good. There is a structure I've been a big fan of, which I use when I communicate a complicated program or message, or want to articulate an idea in a really systemic kind of way. I use the what, so what, now what structure. From my research, this structure has been previously used as a means of reflection by a group. So generally looking at a specific event or a situation, and you can use it as a reflective kind of activity. It's been used in sprint reviews for those who follow the agile methodology for working and all of that sort of stuff. However, I've also seen it been used in the communication space, and I have to say, I think it's pretty awesome. So I want to show you how it works. Starting with the first step, the what. The what section is your opportunity to provide the context and highlight the main point you'll be answering or discussing. This is where you can outline all that really critical and important background. If you're answering a question for someone, this is where you can clarify and outline that point, the idea or a question as a means of leading the discussion. Ask yourself, what is the critical bit of information that needs to be conveyed and answered here to maximize that communication? If we now move to the next stage, which is the so what. Our so what section is where we really dig into the explanation part. This is where we explain our opinion, can connect the question with the answer to support your audience, and then it's where you can present all of your arguments. This is where you provide your most value and you can demonstrate your knowledge. But it's critical to remember and focus less on what you want to say and more on what your audience needs to hear. The ultimate question for this section is, what is the bottom line for my audience to know? That leads us nicely to the final section. That's the now what. The now what is where you highlight your thoughts, conclusion on what you were saying, and any steps or any calls of action. Is there something that you need your audience to do? This is where you can outline the next steps for them. Your tone will be really important to convey the message and the actions, as this will affect your audience's perception about what they should be doing based on the information you've provided. Is it really urgent? Is it something that they just need to do at some point? They'll be able to figure that out through how you convey that. This structure allows you to get the cognitive ability back to think about what you want to say rather than how you're going to say it. The structure is already there and is provided for you. The what, so what, now what can be used for other communication actions as well. Let's say you want to answer a question in a job interview. Sure. Let's say you are asked, why are you the right person for the job? The what is, well, I'm the right person for the job because I have over 8 years experience in a similar role. And prior to that, I worked in a complementary role for over 4 years. Blah, blah, blah. You can talk more about that. Go to the so what section. These previous experiences provided me extensive knowledge which I'm able to apply in a new environment. I've been able to achieve significant results, help to streamline processes, and I'm able to do this in a similar organization just like this. And the now what? I provided some examples of this in my written application, but I have others which I can refer to, including the results achieved were blah, 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 really positive, and my referees will be able to support this as well. I know this structure will support your communication, allowing you to focus on your content and your mission to achieve awesome results. If you're interested in more assistance in the written communication space, I have a free guide available on my website. It's the Simplify and Amplify Your Written Communication Guide, and it's available on my website at theocap.com.au/resources. Thanks for joining in on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe, follow, rate, but only give me a nice rating because I'm sensitive, and review my podcast, as that would help me greatly. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and Google, of course, because you're listening to me already. And be sure to follow my social media channels. The podcast can be found on Instagram at cmtm_podcast. And of course, follow my personal page, TheoCap88, and you'll see my face, a whole heap of reels, and all sorts of other things. And hopefully some valuable content as well. Thanks for listening, and join me in a fortnight, that's 2 weeks' time, for another episode of the Craft Messages That Matter podcast.